don't forget. Trying to get on my other computer, actually. I'm about to find Burton. Okay. So guys, as you know, do have a Burton's Propstream coming on to talk about the recent changes in the MLS data. Hey, what's going on, man? Everyone, to clear up any misconceptions you may have about the MLS sold data, as well as the failed listings being pulled away. As we discussed previously, and some of you all I see as new coming as well, that you still can get accurate comps with the best in the business, in my opinion. Propstream has been using them from day one. And the recent updates is nothing short, in my opinion, to other systems. It's just to get you a scare tactic. So I'm glad to have Burton here to basically hear from what you've heard from me. Burton is, I had the pleasure of meeting with him years ago on different groups and stuff, and he's very thorough, very, he's been with the system since it was a floppy disk. Y'all can go back and find it. You'll see how far they've come and the things that they did. They definitely from been doing this a long time. So I have Burton here, and I ain't gonna take him too much time. We have him for a year. Y'all got plenty of time to hear me talk. I'll let y'all hear from Burton. So everybody raise your hand or put any questions you may have in the chat, and I see how Burton want to go with it. So I ain't want to hold you up too long, Burton. It's nice to have you.
Thanks for having me, Chad. Appreciate it. And everybody here, thank you for joining. And I really want to appreciate you guys kind of, doing your best to learn about, data and changes that might affect you now or may not affect you now or could potentially affect you in the future. So I do appreciate you guys being here. So the first thing I'd like to address are just some recent changes that have occurred. Now, I know some of us might be new and some of us here might be seasoned. I still think these changes should be something you should be aware of because, again, these are changes that occurred recently. It could impact you, could not, but I'm a firm believer you should know what those changes are. So the recent changes has to do with what we call MLS data. And for those that don't know what MLS data is, this is data that comes from realtors and their brokers, right? Now, MLS data or MLS itself is kind of like an organization, right? And there's like 700 different MLS, we call them MLS boards, right? There's a total of about 700 plus MLS boards nationwide. And brokers operate these MLS boards independently. And they all have different rules on how to get access to their data. But there's one thing that they share across the board, and that is you cannot resell or redistribute their data. Now, back in 2016, we figured out a way to do that. We're not realtors, we're not brokers here at Propstream. We're just people that find data and give it to investors like yourself. So you don't have to go and find that data and spend 2-3 days of the week to find leads. That's just a lot of time wasted, right? So that's our job, to go out there and find data. And back in 2016, we found a unique way to give you MLS data without you having to be an agent, right? So what does that mean? That means that you don't have to pay hundreds of dollars for agent fees or brokerage fees to get that data, right? Now, the boards, the MLS boards, they were kind of onto us, right? And we kind of operated on a slippery slope where we were not supposed to give you that information, right? So from 2016, I'm sorry, up until right now or last week, we were providing you that information. Last week, they took 2 pieces of information off the MLS from Propstream. Now let's talk about the 5 pieces of data. So now that you know where MLS comes from and how you have to get access to it, you have to buy that data or pay the dues to get that data. Let's talk about what data we're talking about when it comes to MLS. When it comes to MLS data, there are 5 types. Okay, they're active. Active means that we know when a property is listed with an agent and they're wanting to sell. That's what an active listing is. So if you call your agent and say, hey, I want to list my house for sale, that first day when it's put on the market, that's an active listing, right? It's actively trying to sell. The next listing type is called pending. Pending means that someone, right, that's credible is interested. They're beginning the process of wanting to buy the property. Just in case it goes through, let's put this active listing into the pending, meaning we're not sure if it's sold yet. It's kind of in the process, right? The third is what we call contingent. This is rare, but it happens. Contingent is when there's a back and forth on wanting to buy the property. Like I'll give you an example. Farmland is very popular with contingent. So let's say a farmer wants to sell their house in July, but the crops don't get done until October. That homeowner, the farmer, can sell their house and say, look, my house is up for sale in July and you can buy it contingent upon that I get to take the crops in October. And if that buyer agrees to that, then the buyer can have the property in July, but come October, the previous owner can come in and take the crops one last time. That's what we call contingent listings, right? When there's a back and forth. That's the third type. The last 2 are what was taken from us. And the last 2 are failed listings. So failed listing is when an agent doesn't successfully sell a property, right? An agent can't list a property for 10 years. You can't do that, right? They usually list it for 6 months, 4 months, a year, depending on your market, right? But after that time frame, they have to take it down off the MLS. And that's what we call a failed listing, right? So if it doesn't successfully sell, but it has to be removed, failed listing. The last list type is a sold listing. So when an agent actually sells the property, they're going to run back to their office and say, I sold this property for this price. And then that gets updated and sent out, right? The last 2 is what's been taken from us. Now you're going to hear a lot of different things that people are saying right now as to why. Please don't listen to any of that. You're hearing exactly why. There is no why. There's no exact reason why. So that's why it's kind of funny that people are speculating, because there's no one reason why. Now let's speculate, right? Let's play the game. Let's play the speculation game. Let's talk about failed listing, right? Why would they take that from us? Now I've heard, oh, it's because you guys don't want to give us that information. Oh, it's because you guys want to pay more for that information, or want us to pay more for that information. I'm telling you right now, it has nothing to do with any of that stuff. They just took it away from us. Now, if I was on their side of the fence, if I was a MLS board, if I was a broker, why would I take that information from the investors, right? Why would I take that information from the people out there? Well, because it's not positive information, right? I mean, a failed listing pretty much means you didn't sell the house. You did not do your job. That's what a failed listing really means to an agent in a brokerage, right? And so when you don't do your job, investors have been going after that, because the investor then picks up the slack and they sell the house, right? That makes the brokerage look bad. And so when they started figuring out, hey, investors are finding our failed listings and they're closing our deals that we couldn't close, whew, that doesn't make us look good, right? Out of all the speculation that can be done, that's the best one I've heard. And I think that could be true. We don't know why. They said stop. We have to stop, right? That's failed listing. Yeah, we could speculate all day and all night why they took that away. But I think that probably resonated with me the most. And it makes sense, right? How many agents, brokerages do you go to or heard of at the end of the week? They go, hey, Chad, hey, Burton, how many failed listings do you have this week? They don't cheer that, right? That's probably something to be embarrassed about, right? They cheer on how many new listings do you have? How many sold listings do you have? no one talks about failed listings, right? So that's failed listings. That, again, that was taken from us. There's nothing we can do there. Sold listings. So MLS sold pricing, that was taken away from us. When a property sells, an agent will tell us when they sold it and what price they sold it from. They took that from us. They took away the sold date and the sold price. And I think this is where people kind of got scared. They're like, oh my God, I don't have the sold date or the sold price anymore. I can't run comps in Propstream. And that is absolutely not true. MLS is just one piece of data, right? As a matter of fact, you know what happens when a property sells on the MLS? It goes to the county, public records. We collect that on a nationwide scale. We have nearly 100% coverage on public records. So even though we don't have the MLS sold data, in a week or two, maybe sometimes 3, the county is going to record it and we'll get that sell data, right? So recently, you might have seen a video or maybe heard about it, but some people were like confused. They were like, oh my God, Propstream lost sold data. We can't run comps at all anymore. And that is, again, absolutely not true. As a matter of fact, I'd like to share my screen and show you guys that's not true. I can go to Propstream, which is what I'm looking at right here. And I'm in California, but I can go to, let's say, Tennessee and go to, I don't know, Knoxville right over here and click on a property right over here in this grocery outlet area. Let's click on this one right over here. Still read the details. So the details are still there, right? Data's still there. The comparables, that's still there. You have public records. Now, we used to have, again, the agent data, but that's fine. I don't need to have a property that sold this morning. That's not going to kill the deal, right? Do I need to know if a house sold this morning? That would be cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. To know that a property sold today would be great, right? That's a cherry on top, but no, right? I have, in this case, in the last year, I have 13 properties that sold in last year. That's good enough to get an after repair value, right? Even if I go back, instead of January, even if I go back to, let's say, September of last year, I still have 4 comps and their sell prices. This is what people were flipping out on. They were like, oh, they don't have sell price. No, guys, we do. They're right there. Public records, right? Now, I will say for the ones that were impacted quite a bit, it's what we call a non-disclosure state. So for those that are new or even seasoned, I would recommend doing a quick Google search and typing non-disclosure states real estate. And what that will show you are the 12 non-disclosure states that are out there, right? So let me copy this and put it in the chat here. So, oh, I'm sorry, that was to Chad. All right. So non-disclosure state, this is where things kind of can get a little challenging. So I'm not here to lie, I'm here to educate, okay? So there were 2 types of states, right? There's disclosure states and non-disclosure states. And if you're wondering, what the hell does that mean? Let me explain it to you really easily. In a disclosure state, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, for example, a disclosure state means that when a property sells, either in cash or with a mortgage, or you transfer it to your family member for $1,000, that amount, that sell amount, the transaction amount, gets recorded and displayed publicly. It gets disclosed. That's what a disclosure state is. So in Atlanta, if I click on a cash buyer over here, I see sell prices. Okay. If I go to a non-disclosure state like Utah, right? What's the biggest? Salt Lake City, where the Olympics was. Salt Lake City. I search Salt Lake City, Utah. I click on a cash buyer. I don't see any prices because Utah is a non-disclosure state. We didn't make this up, right? For whatever their reasons, they don't want to disclose sell prices to anybody. So these are the states that will, and I'm going to openly admit it, that were impacted quite a bit. Those non-disclosure states were impacted quite a bit. Why? Because before Propstream ever had MLS data, the county wasn't going to help you, right? So before Propstream, let's say Propstream never existed, what do you have to do to get this data? You have to be the realtor, right? You have to convince a realtor to get you that data. Maybe pull a few favors for the realtors, maybe refer a few properties, and then they'll give you their username and password, right? And then you can run comps, but you still have to, copy paste, make a report, etc., right? So if we never existed, that is exactly what you have to do. Now, Propstream came in 2016 with access to that information, and we gave it to everybody on a nationwide level. And so if I was in Salt Lake City before last week, yeah, I had MLS data and I can run comps on it. Game changer. But that's been removed again, not because we don't want it, but because we were never supposed to give it to the public, right? So they finally put their foot down. So how does that impact me? Well, I don't get sell prices in Salt Lake City, but does that mean I can't use Propstream to potentially comp a property? You can. Here, let me show you the difference today between disclosure and non-disclosure and how this changes comping, okay? So if I go to a disclosure state, let's use another one here, Denver, Colorado, right? And I pull up a property with the lien and I click on that property, this 4-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom property. And let's say Austin and Christine want to sell their house. Okay, I'm going to need to make an offer. So this is a disclosure state. I'm going to go into comparables and I'm going to use the public records, right? So comps, public records, sold, right? I have the sell price, the address. I can apply characteristics, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, right? Get those results. Find the nearest ones, right? So there are some 3.5s here. Let's remove that. Let's only look for the 2 to 2.5. There we go. We have 639, 602, 804, right? So we have these comps. If I choose all of them, right? Maybe number 2, I'm like, I don't know. 380 seems a little off. Let's choose everything but that 380, right? And I can even, some of them have pictures, so I can even click on that. All right, that's 639. Definitely not in the HDTV type, but 639 for a pretty decent looking house, right? I can only imagine what a 804 looks like. This is probably like a very renovated. We don't have the pictures, but very probably renovated, right? But this is still good. And again, if you need more data, you can go out a mile. You can go out more if you need to on your date range. Hey, go back a year and a half. Not that you should, but every market is different. We normally tell you to stick to a year, but you can go out a mile. You can go out a mile and a half, 2 miles. Every market is going to be different. And again, some of them will have pictures. You'll be able to see that. But this is, again, what someone would do in a disclosure state, right? Maybe they would stick to a half a mile only and then decide, you know what, out of all of these, I believe 602 is kind of like an as is, because 639 was pretty nice. And 804 must be really nice, nice, nice. 380, that looks like somebody bought it on a discount. That's not a good comp. So I'm going to choose everything but those 3. Now that I have that, here's my new average sell price, 681. That's your after repair value, essentially your average of the 3 properties that are potentially rehabbed, right? Actions is the last stop. Then comps report. So this is how you would comp a property in Propstream in a disclosure state, right? So now I have this report, property characteristics that I'm working on, right? The comps where those are, the low, the high, the average, and then there you go. Here are the comps and pictures if we have any. Hand that to the homeowner, hand that to the buyer, right? Now let's talk about non-disclosure state, right? Because non-disclosure state, they're not going to have the prices anymore. So how does Propstream help me in this scenario? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. We can't get you the sell prices no matter what, right? But we can get you up to 90% of the work done when it comes to comping. So let me show you an example. Let's say I go to Austin, Texas, right? Another non-disclosure state. And we pull up a property with a lien again, right? So here's a property, single family, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. I'm going to click on it. And we have 23 comps. Now, the thing about, again, non-disclosure states, when I go to the comps, all of these right here are estimated values. And we tell you, we're transparent. We're saying, hey, they're estimated values. And if you're wondering, how the hell do you guys know the price or the estimate if the county doesn't give you the sell price and you no longer have the MLS data? Well, for the longest, people didn't realize we've always had this, right? It's just we were so focused on the MLS sold data. But how we get this data is easy. We know the mortgage information, we know the recording date and the mortgage type. So here, let me show you. This property we believe sold for $354,400. I'm going to go to the details of this property that sold for $354,400, and I'm going to show you how we came up to that conclusion. Okay. This property, although we don't know what it actually sold for, estimated value, that was concluded because this property has a mortgage. It's right here. On March 29, 2021, we discovered through our other sources, right? The county is one source, MLS is another source. We have thousands of other sources, right? So these guys couldn't give us the sell prices, but through our other sources, our mortgage provider, we found out that a loan was originated for $283,500. Now, here's the thing about this loan. It's a conventional loan. What's the thing about a conventional loan? It usually requires a 20% down payment. So if you do enough math, right, 20% down payment, what was recorded right after, because you got to put the down payment first and then you take a loan on the rest, right? So the loan on the rest was 283. What was that 20%? Add that 20%, and would you look at that, right? So we're not saying that that's a sell price because we don't know really what the sell price is. Only the county knows, and they're not going to tell us. And the agent knows, and they're no longer giving it to us. So we can use logic, data through other sources to get you an idea of where it is. Now, I don't want you running around telling people, oh, I know it sold for 354. No, that's an estimated value. And I'm explaining to you how we get close to that. But let's say that never existed, right? Let's say these estimated values don't exist. Let's say every one of them said 0. Well, how can Propstream help me? Well, let's think about it, right? Let's say you stop using Propstream. Let's say this property called you and you heard Propstream no longer has MLS sold data, which we don't in Texas, right? Non-disclosed, we don't have it anymore. So you're like, all right, I'm not going to use them anymore. Great. You call your agent, the local agent, and you say, hey, I have a property. Can you comp it for me? Give them that property. What do you have to offer to the agent? You're going to now tell this stranger, unless they're your friend, to comp a property for you like that without anything to offer? Yeah, you're going to do all this work. They're going to do all this work for you just like that, right? No. So here's what I would recommend. Rather than calling an agent and say, do all this work for me, how about you meet them more than halfway, right? And this is where Propstream can still help. So yes, I don't have the sell prices anymore, but what I do know are the dates of when the property sold, the address of that property, and the characteristics of that property, right? So the 4 bedrooms, bathrooms, etc. So here's how I would operate, right? Although I know the prices are estimated, I'm not going to use that, but I'm going to help the agent, right? I'm going to come to the agent more than halfway. I'm going to look at this area and I'm going to look for all the 4 bedrooms that populate. Boom, there we go, right? Maybe in Texas is pretty big, so we might need to go like a mile out for this area. If it was California, I wouldn't do that. But I'm going to look for all the 4 bedrooms only, 4, right? And this is a 3 bathroom, all the 3 threes, right? Oh, it looks like we don't have any 3s. It looks like we have, they're all 2s. At least the county has them recorded as 2s. Okay, so we look like we have an opportunity here, but that's fine. Again, these could be old records. County probably hasn't updated yet, and that's fair. But what we're going to do is we're going to find similar properties, 4 2s, right? And here's the thing. I would say this is definitely a 3, just hasn't been updated because look, they're very similar. This one actually has bigger characteristics, right? So again, this property that we're working with could be an outlier, like a recently built property. And I believe so because it's now on market. Again, I just randomly picked a property here. But again, maybe they're starting to put 3 bedrooms in here. That's fine. Let's say it's still a 4-2. Let's assume the homeowner didn't add a new bathroom to it, right? What I would do, again, I don't have the sell prices, but let's meet the agent more than halfway. I'm going to look for all the 4s, 2 bathrooms, look for all the ones that were financed by a bank. There you go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this report to an agent, right? So I'm going to find the nearest ones, let's say numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to go and print that report. Now, again, these prices are not the sell prices, so you're not done yet, right? The disclosure state, right? So let's go and look at a side by side. This is the non-disclosure report, right? So, right, this is the Texas property, and let's look at the other report. Let's get the disclosure report. Okay, so let's look at the side by side comparison, right? There's no difference, right? So this report in Colorado, I can hand to the homeowner now because I know that the prices are prices from the county. They disclose that. So this I can hand to the homeowner. This I'm not yet ready to hand to the homeowner, right? Because the missing piece, and this is all because of the recent changes, had nothing to do with this. If this change never happened, you'd be good. You'd be done right now, right? But the missing piece now to this report is the pricing. I just need to get a black marker and cross that out, right? So just cross that out, right? Cross anything with the price out, right? So cross that out, and then scroll down. Probably going to cross this out right here, that out, right? Anything with a price, put that little white out over it or something. Keep going down, same thing, cross that out, cross that once already crossed out for you, cross that out, okay? Okay, now what? Well, you've done most of the work, right? You've done 90% of the job now. So now you're coming to the agent, and rather than saying, hey, agent, comp this property, your conversation is different. Hey, Barbara. Hey, John, what's going on? Hey, I heard you guys were doing really well over there. I think you sold a house off June Drive. It's 11510 June Drive. You guys sell that house? How much you sell it for? What was the sell price, right? How fast did you sell it? Oh, we sold that thing for $550 and we sold it for 62 days. Because if you come at them in a certain way, maybe compliment them, right? Man, they're going to brag about their sold prices. Yeah, we sold it 10% more than listed price. What would you sell it for, right? That's it. Once they tell you that, write that number down and the days on market, go to the next property, call that agent, right? That's it. That's really the only difference now. And you had to do this before we had access to it. The only difference is you never had this report. You had to make this report, right? By copying and pasting from other websites and coming up with your own report, right? And then going out there. So I'm baffled that people are like, Propstream can't help you with comping anymore. Well, we can't help you in non-disclosure state complete the trend, like the entire comping process. But we can get you up to 90%. The last 10% is just, and this is what I would do. The last 10% is the ones that you want the prices on. I would right click them or highlight them and right click them and Google it. Search Google and look for it. And if you guys, I heard this too. Someone was like, well, if you guys don't have prices, I bet you $5 Zillow has the prices. And I said, go check. So again, we're saying 451 estimate. And if I were to search this property on Zillow right over here, Zillow, yeah, they don't have the price either. Nobody can, because it's a state law, right? And if you, again, still don't believe me, let's go to the next website, realtor.com. Realtor must have the price, right? Nope, Realtor doesn't have the price either, right? See, these are all estimated value. No one has the price. So we can help you get to 90%. The remaining 10% is just got to do that one extra research, which you should do anyways. You should always be networking with realtors in your market. They can find you extra leads, right? So again, in Colorado, I didn't need to have to do that. I don't have to call a realtor because these prices are official. They're from the county, county's official, taxes run off county records, right? County's showing us the records. The Texas one, not the case, right? These values are estimated value. I just need to, again, right click that property, search it, and then they'll provide you the agent's information. Now this is Texas, so HAR is their main website there. Now when you go there, Here you go, right? See, everybody has random estimated values. But once you're here, you can find the realtor's information and then contact them and then call it a day. Hey, what's going on? I'd like to get your information, or I'd like to know what you sold the property for, and then call it a day. So does anybody have questions on like the recent changes and how this is going to impact you and disclosure or any of those 12 non-disclosure states? Again, let's be transparent. Prior to the changes, you can run comps in our system from beginning to end in disclosure and non-disclosure states. With the recent changes, disclosure states, you're not impacted so much, right? You can still run comps from beginning to end. Non-disclosure states, you now have just one slight wall that you need to just hurdle over. And that's, I got to get the sell prices. That's it. So don't just give up. I mean, again, do that homework, right? Come up with the local properties that are similar and then hand that to the agent. It'll be a better conversation than saying, hey, do all the work for me, right? And rather than doing that, like, hey, I've done my research already. I could use your favor. Or again, compliment them. Hey, I heard you're the hot shot in the neighborhood. I heard you sold this property off June Drive. How fast did you sell it? What did you sell it for, right? And again, they might brag about that stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the MLS changes. Does anybody have questions regarding that? Manny, do you have? I see Manny had a question regarding that. Oh, is the MLS data coming back? It will. I don't want to say yes, but we're finding ways to get it back. But I'm going to be honest with you, it's not as easy as it was before. They're on to us, right? The reality is there's more wholesalers than there are, or investors than there are agents. And so again, we could speculate, are they threatened, or they're enforcing something that's already there, right? As any agent know, you can't give this data out to your friends and family. And again, we found a way to do it, and all they're saying is stop, right? Like there's our policy and we're now regulating it, and stop. So will it come back? I mean, I would like to hope so, but it's not going to get any easier. And again, if they're stopping us now, I'm sure they're sleeping with their eyes open, at least one of their eyes open now. And so that's the reality. So great question there, Manny. I will say too, just be careful. I'm hearing rumors right now, and one of our other partners brought a video. There's a video out of it too, where someone did a side-by-side comparison. There are people out there saying this product has it, Propstream no longer has it. I'd be very, very careful on what others are saying. All I'm going to say is, if you are in a non-disclosure state, any of those 12 states that we brought up, double check your pricing with the realtor. If you're in, again, any of these 12 states, right? I don't care if you're using Propstream. I don't care if you're using Prop Pro. I don't care if you're using Prop Low. I don't care if you're using Prop Fake, right? Just double check your pricing with the realtor. So if you're in any of these 12 states, unless you have the MLS data, the actual MLS data, then use that price that you have access to, right? But if you're not using the MLS and you're using some platform like Propstream or any of the others, do not go off whatever we're saying. If I wake up one morning and I hit my head and I start saying, yeah, we have the sell. No, we don't. That is not the case. And we'll tell you when that happens, but don't let people fool you. There are people out there that are spreading misinformation just to get you to sign up for something, right? So just be very, very careful. As a matter of fact, I'll say this. I'm very confident in our application that if you do a side-by-side comparison to most of these providers that say they have what they have, you'll notice the truth. You'll notice that something fishy is going on, and I'll leave it at that. So Chad, I don't know if you want to add more to that, but that's the reality to the current situation right now.
Yeah,
No, Gail, it's a nationwide thing. Well, that's the thing, Gail. Like the MLS boards, again, they didn't. This is something that's already written in their policy. They got wind of what we were doing as an industry, right? They realized, hey, there are these third-party aggregators, data providers that are taking our data, which you have to pay for, and sell it, right? Even agents were like, wait, you have MLS data nationwide? What the hell? I have to pay for just my neighborhood. Agents were starting to use Propstream, and I wouldn't be surprised they were telling their agent neighbor at the office, like, hey, you got to use Propstream because when that homeowner says, not my house here, my house over there, you can use Propstream, right? So it's everybody, like every third party provider has been shut out from this data. And that's why I'm a little disappointed, because some of these providers are saying, no, we have it still. Now, look, I'm not going to lie. Could there be a product out there that has access to a zip code because their sister operates in that zip code, and then tell everybody, yeah, I have MLS data? Yeah. I mean, are they lying? No, they're not lying. But at the scale that we were, again, we're the biggest name in our industry when it comes to real estate data. We're the largest provider. There's a reason why Stewart Titles dropped 175 million, right? And then said, do what you guys do best, right? Just here's money, have resources, keep doing what you're doing. There's a reason for that, is because we know what we're doing when it comes to data. And so, again, could there be someone out there who maybe signed up for the MLS board because they became a realtor last month and now they're going to start selling that data to investors like you for $1 a piece? Yeah. But once that MLS board catches wind of it, again, they always do, you're not only in trouble, but you're shut out. See, at the end of the day, we have to do things the right way, right? So the moment they said, hey, we know what you guys are doing, stop it, we had to stop it. And that's not just us, that's an industrial thing, like an industry-wide thing. And again, I'm a little upset, but there are some applications out there claiming things that they're not. And that's the thing about our industry. We have no regulative body that's going to say, Propstream, stop doing that, right? So stop doing that, right? That's where you guys get hurt, right? And that's why I'm telling you, you guys got to really pay attention to those values that people are telling you. And if you just be very, very, very careful. So if you guys acquire a license, will you be able to bring back the MLS data? We would need to acquire a license in every state, Candace, to get access to that. So essentially, there's like 715, around 715 plus broker licenses we would pay. That's a lot of money. It's not easy to sustain. And some of these boards require you to actually operate, meaning you can't just pay and get access to the data. You have to actually do a transaction or 2 or 3 to get that data. This is why like Zillow and Realtor and those guys still have it. I have people saying, well, I get that you don't have the price anymore, but how come when I search that property, Zillow still has the sold data? I go, yeah, Zillow can tell you that they sold it and it's off market, but Zillow can't tell you the price, right? So even though they have the MLS sold data, what good is it for you, right? You can't get the price from them. And so, yes, they have the MLS sold data still because they are a broker, but they still have to oblige by the law, right? And again, Zillow is not going to say we have it when they don't, because they have a lot to lose. They're a publicly traded company. They're public. I mean, they're in the eyes of thousands, millions of homeowners nationwide. And so, yeah, they have to follow the law. So your question is true. If we have a brokerage in every state, but it's at least not right now for us, it's not a sustainable thing. But
yeah,
and we have Stewart Title backing us up. So it could be something in the near future that can happen.
Hey, just to kind of add, like with the MLS data is not like them, right? You got a whole big realtor association that's basically spent millions and millions of dollars since last year, right? So it's legislate. It's even like DOJ have cases out. Like if you deep research what's going on, so it's not like he stated earlier. These companies that saying, "Hey, I still have the MLS data." That cannot be the case. That can be if you know someone that's giving you access to that area, you can, because they're trying to essentially monopolize with the data.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
really what it's boiling down to. So it's not that, oh, Propstream let it go. It's the actual National Association of Realtors, right? So who that embodies people that want you to go get a license. We don't have a license. We are investors operating in that field. So you say, okay, we're going to shut you out. This is not how it's supposed to go. So now if you research, you have cases, Department of Justice, stuff like that. So it's really, really intricate. And so when people are like, oh, I still have it, that cannot be the case because they are a third party aggregator. That can't be the case. So if you put any of them side by side, like Burton said, because I've done it, and you'll see the same thing. That if it's a conventional loan, like he said earlier, you know to say 20%, so it's an estimate. If it's a FHA loan, 2.5, 3.5, so it's an estimate. And you'll notice if you're talking to your sellers and you say, hey, I see you got a little mortgages around about this. Oh yeah, you about right. Right, because you can just basically do math. You had it for this long, just take off estimated what it is monthly, and here you go. So it's a process.
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, guys, we're in a community that's under a microscope already. Like for those that are new and those are seasoned, those that are new, I need you to understand that like this is a very sensitive situation, and what happens going forward could impact whether you're going to be able to continue doing what you're doing. For those that are seasoned, this is damaging because that misinformation is going to cause investors, perhaps yourself, running out there, saying something that you don't have. And then this is again why I get a little frustrated on what's happened recently, because we had to do the honest thing. We had to tell our public, our users, we no longer have this. And that's a clickbait title. Propstream no longer has something, right? Propstream no longer has, or Propstream lost, right? We didn't lose anything. We were restricted, but it sounds so good that, hey, let's make videos and we have a product, so this is the perfect opportunity to jump on that, right? Because you have doubt, and let's sow doubt. So I'm going to show you an example, and I don't like doing this, but I'm going to show you the damage that this misinformation has caused. And I'm going to actually use my own Facebook as an example of what I'm seeing. And again, this is where I get kind of concerned on why people are doing what they're doing. So let me bring this up right here. So part of my job is I'm one of the social media managers, and I obviously do a lot of social media content and so forth. And Chad, if you don't mind, can we just stop the recording for the time being?
Oh, sure.
I'm only doing this because
Recording back. And I have to go in and reiterate some of those things he was saying about the active and contingent and pending. Active is basically what it sounds like, contingent and stuff like that. And so you can definitely still use those things. I'm gonna try to get him back on once again at some point. He'll go through a ton of different filters, to show it's like little tips and tricks you can just play with Propstream and get in front of different types of sellers that you normally don't. Just those pre-populated filters doesn't do. And I know we went over that as well in our training, but it's some people here that's not here, and it's a ton of different ways. I didn't even deep dive into it actually. I was just giving y'all the idea of like, hey, create a problem, or when you're looking at it, like, what solutions can you provide to this particular group of sellers? So that's basically what he was going off of. And it was some other stuff. I knew he wasn't going to go in depth with a ton of stuff because of his position. So I was thinking, okay, I can say certain things about it. But that's pretty good though. I just wanted to put that out there because it was super important when I finally looked at it. Because when I was training my team actually when it happened, and I hadn't got the email yet. So I was doing so like, I know good where this soul thing used to be right here. Like, I thought it was my system then. Like, yo, this is crazy. And even then on the line with them, I'm like, well, shoot, you still got public data as well as you can see the pictures. So you'll notice in public data and MLS, that same property be on the MLS side too, because if you are in a if you're in the disclosure state, when they record the data, it goes to the county clerk. So depending on how fast they get it updated is when it updates into these other systems. So it was like still nothing wrong. I was still doing business. The same cops have been using was still there. So when the people saying in these non-disclosure states, I was like, okay, you do realize, like in my head, they're like, yo, when people were saying, they're like, do you realize that even when this was MLS everywhere, you still couldn't get it? Like if you opened up Texas, or I always say Texas because that's maybe where I'll be at, it always say estimate, or you look at Zillow, you just see dots because they can't give you the information. It's a non-disclosure state. So when you see the estimated value, that's basically doing that formula you done. You don't really know, but when you talk to sellers, they give you a general idea of, yeah, around that price that they still own a mortgage, unless they don't refi, and you'll see that come up too, because it'll show the time the date has been originated. So that was kind of throwing me out too. And then it's cool, like when I finally seen that thing he said with batches, whether it's Propstream, it's like, oh shoot, that's what they doing. That's why they're saying they had it. They did, instead of saying estimate, they're saying sold. But when you see it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Like if you really pay attention to it, it's like how you said it. It's just affiliate stuff, truly what it is. So if you don't have the thing of like, okay, how is you getting the MLS data? And this is really a realtor association, right? That's who started this. It's not like, oh, we just want to not have you have it. No, the National Association of Realtors say they spent millions in like trying to get this stuff out for since last year. And now we're just arriving at that point. So this stuff been going on. They've been trying to get it out because they don't like the aspect of us not being a part of that thing, but we pay into it. They make millions from people of realtors, of being a part of that association. So, oh shoot, y'all can't see me the whole time. I've been in the dark. I'm on my son's camera and I don't know what's up with this camera. I thought I was tripping, like, why do I look like that? I'm gonna try to get mine on for a second. And we're gonna hop off of here anyway in a little bit, but that's funny. I thought I was tripping. Like, why is my thing so dark? And I got the whole room lit up with the little, whatever they call them, social media lights and the window. I don't know what's happening, but I think of his thing though. It do look super dark. I don't know how to work it. I was scared to touch it because I did notice it. I just thought it was me. I was like, yo, I don't understand his little computer. But yeah. So if I can log in additions, I wanted to give you all something, but I may have to wait in. So let me see if I can log into this one. Back in my computer, they wanted to update while we was doing this stuff. But it was a ton of stuff I wanted to get, and that's cool that he stopped and actually pivoted. I knew he wasn't going to say certain stuff because, it seems kind of tacky, right? If you do say certain stuff and all of that. So like, okay, I get it, but I'm not a part of nobody. You know what I mean? As far as companies and all of that stuff, you can say what you want to say. So that was pretty cool. He asked me to record it. I said, oh shoot, we about to get it. About to go a little heavy. When he said stop it, I was like, oh yeah, we about to get to it now. So we can just talk. But that was dope that he's showing y'all that, like, and it's funny, like, that's crazy that y'all are literally saying that. Okay. I look dark over here. I don't know. It might be no. All right, maybe I can. Sure. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.